So if you're planning to buy the iQOO Z10x, then watch this video till the end. I have been daily driving this phone for the past 30 days and I have a very mixed opinion. Firstly, I like the design of the phone. It feels nice in hand and is quite comfortable. The phone is supposedly military standard certified, which means it can withstand cold and hot environment as well as dust, rain and water splashes. However, an IP69 rating would have been much better in my opinion. The camera module at the back is quite premium looking. We only get one 50 megapixel camera and the other one is a depth sensor. We do also get a IR blaster, which is pretty nice. Lastly, the dynamic light, which is a glorified notification LED light. While it does light up while listening to music and watching YouTube video, the effect isn't anything special as it does not seem to follow the music beats, so I keep it on soft mode. However, it can be used as a battery indicator, which is quite helpful. Now coming to other physical aspects, we get a power button with built-in fingerprint scanner on the side along with volume rocker. The quality of volume button is tactile, but the power button feels a little fragile. The fingerprint is accurate and works every time. The haptics of the phone, however, are pretty bad. I think that is expected at this price. At bottom, we get a USB Type-C 2.0 port, speaker and a microphone. Remember, this is the only microphone you get as there is no secondary noise cancellation mic.
Okay, so this is a test with the Nothing Phone 2A that has a secondary mic for noise cancellation. I have the traffic sound playing in the background to see how much it can cancel out the noise. Now this is the same test with the same background noise on the iQOO Z10x, and let's see how it performs without the noise cancelling microphone.
So while on the topic of microphone, let's also talk about speakers. We get a dual stereo speaker setup, however, the quality is just not that great. While it does get loud, but it sounds more shrill and treble rich. One thing to note here is that you need to press the volume button physically to enter the volume boost mode, so you get 200 and 400%, and I've noticed that there is a hint of bass at 400% volume, but that's just not practical at this point. Now coming to the display, we get a 6.72-inch Full HD Plus IPS LCD display. There is high refresh rate mode up to 120Hz and PWM dimming of 960Hz. So if you get headaches from OLED displays, this is a good alternative. The display is also plenty bright up to 1000 nits. It also supports HDR videos in YouTube and the colors do look quite nice. Although the standard color mode is more warmer, so you might want to adjust in the display settings. And remember to force 120Hz for all apps. Make sure to keep the refresh rate setting at high and also manually turn it on for the apps on the list. Now coming to the weird part is that the display comes with a pre-applied screen protector. However, when I removed it, I found the display lacks oleophobic coating, which was quite surprising. Without oleophobic coating, the display feels really rough and not at all smooth, so make sure you get a good quality tempered glass to fix this issue. Now another part which was mediocre for me was the software. It runs on FunTouch OS 15 and it feels outdated compared to other skins, especially the quick toggles. There's a weird spacing in the user interface and some options are hard to find and confusing. For example, to change wallpaper, you have the option from the launcher, then again from the color and styles. However, the option you want to use is hidden in the settings and lock screen. Now from here, we have different customization options for lock screen, home screen and always on display. And all three of them works in harmony with each other and looks quite cool. There are a lot of customization options for different effects, which I've covered in my tips and tricks videos. We also get stock dialer app so you can record calls anonymously. However, the OS lacks many AI features. We only get an AI eraser and AI upscaler and enhancer in gallery app, and that's it. No background remover, writing assistant, audio enhancements, etc. They are literally calling the document scanner and Google Lens as AI features on their website. And not to forget the number of useless third-party apps and first-party apps and their notifications. iQOO has promised 2 years of Android updates, so hopefully if Origin OS comes, it can make things better for this device. For performance, we have the 4nm MediaTek Dimensity 7300. The score is around 680K on the AnTuTu. I've recently made a gaming test video with FPS hitting, battery drain, etc. Overall, it maintains 60 FPS in BGMI and can even handle 90 FPS gaming in Call of Duty Mobile. The good thing is that temperature remains under control throughout. However, it struggles with titles like Genshin and Wuthering Waves, but day-to-day performance is pretty good, with 8GB of LPDDR4X RAM and 256GB of UFS 3.1 storage. Multitasking has been a breeze with fast app openings and switching. The backup from the 6500 mAh battery has also been quite impressive. On average, I got an 8 to 9 hours of screen on time with simple use and 5 to 7 hours with gaming and heavy use. We get option to set a battery charging limit to 70, 80 or 90. I keep it at 80 or 90 for not only to prolong the battery health but also to charge it faster, as the included 44-watt charger can take close to 2 hours to charge from 0 to 100. Now coming to the cameras, we get a single 50 megapixel main camera with no OIS, a depth camera and an IR blaster. I don't know which camera sensor it is, as the phone lacks full camera 2 API support. The main camera surprisingly takes photos with good dynamic range and background bokeh. For portraits too, it works quite well. There's eye autofocus, which also helps in the shot. You also get useful options like this effect slider for increasing vibrance and brightness, photography styles like black and white and vintage mode, and also various filters. The front 8 megapixel camera is however below average and looks bad even in video calls, and it's quite disappointing. We can capture 4K 30fps videos from the back camera, but sadly no 1080p 60fps, which is disappointing. Also try using the effect slider to customize the brightness, as it elevates the overall look of the video. Connectivity wise, iQOO Z10x has 8 5G bands. In my uses, I mostly used Wi-Fi and 4G data when outdoors, but when I tried using 5G, weirdly it always switched to 4G. Other phones did have somewhat better luck with 5G, however it can just be an area coverage issue. Also, the phone lacks NFC, so no contactless payments. It does support Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.4 and has all the necessary sensors. So in conclusion, under the 15,000 price range, it is a good offering from iQOO. However, it has its downsides as well. Make sure to tally the pros and cons based on your expectations and usage. You can also look at substitutes with AMOLED displays like Realme Narzo 70 Turbo and the Realme P3. So that was it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.